Hi, Andy.
Hi there, Elmer.
How are you?
As well as can be expected. It's good to see you, though.
It is really good to see you. So we were chatting for just a second. You are recording in your living room, right?
Correct. It's also my Zoom office. I spend about 5 hours a day sitting right here on meetings just like this.
I absolutely know the feeling, and I'm sure a lot of the other GMC members will as well. So, Andy, the thing that we know about you is that you are actively engaged in a number of different directions that capitalize on your many talents. Give us the highlights. What are the top three things that are consuming your time and attention right now?
Sure. Well, my day job is one. It's Dynamis Software Corporation, which we just sold to Applied Systems. So I'm working on integrating those companies together, and that's about 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day. I think the Symphony is another obvious one. I'm currently chairman of the board and working on the capital campaign to raise $140 million and finishing the new historic Warner Grand Theater. That takes a few hours a day. And my newest venture, Sprecher, where I'm chairman of the board. Sharad Chadha is running that as CEO. Another few hours a day, and then a variety of other nonprofit and for-profit things.
Yeah, you're busy.
I think everybody in the GMC is busy.
That's fair. So before we talk about the strategic response to the COVID pandemic, I would love to just learn from you how, in this moment and every other moment, do you practice balance? How are you finding time to do all the things that you are doing?
That's an interesting question. That's a softball because now we're all given our most precious resource, which is time, and we're actually given it back in abundance. And so I think how we decide how to spend that extra time that we're all given during this crisis is really important. For me personally, I've always, I wake up early, 5, 6 o'clock. I'm at the gym for a few hours, and I start my workday. So I haven't varied from that routine at all. I'm doing my home gym now. I'm trying to be a little creative with the workouts, but I'm doing that every morning, still sleeping 8 hours every night, and really finding time to reconnect, which I think a lot of us started doing these Zoom happy hours, and I'm reconnecting with friends I haven't talked to in decades. It's just been really nice to stay on top of things.
I like the sound of that. For so many people, this new allotment of time when we don't have to commute, we don't have to deal with some of the energy drains that are customary for us. A lot of folks have lost their ability to have balance. They are just working 24 hours a day, not just because of the pandemic, just because they can't create boundaries. You've been pretty disciplined about maintaining yours.
Yeah, I think I've always actually just had that disposition where, there's a time for work and we certainly work, but there's a time for other things. So, for example, I don't watch TV, but I have been watching Netflix in Spanish to try to brush up on Spanish. I've been spending a half hour on Duolingo, out making the yard look as nice as I can make it look. So I've not really, I don't think I've ever had a problem with balance. It just seems to come naturally.
That's fascinating. So at the conclusion of this conversation, we'll actually switch to Spanish if you're interested.
Perfecto.
Bueno. So let's talk about Sprecher. Uh, how are you thinking about operating during the pandemic? Food production is considered essential, isn't it?
It is, and beer consumption is in Wisconsin even more essential. So we've actually been fortunate. We're up year over year. Year to date revenues are up over last year. When we came in to buy this, Sharad had a vision for it, and the first thing that he did was really ramped up the sales force and really had a focus on sales, and sales of our most popular products. So we've actually created accounts at Walmart now. We're in with Amazon. We're for sale in all 50 states for the first time ever. So those early building blocks that we were able to achieve the first few months have really helped sustain us through, well, what is a crisis. I think we've also been fortunate. We haven't had any cases. We're open for business. We're brewing every day, and there's been no cases. So what we're doing is kind of, the old saying goes, when the sun's out, make hay. And so while the sun is shining, we're brewing, and we're building up our inventories just in case the day comes where we have to have a temporary shutdown due to COVID. So, for us, the mantra is do as much as we can, focus on revenues, build up the inventories where we can, certainly hope for the best, but make contingency planning for the worst.
Is this your first foray into manufacturing?
I actually ran GE Healthcare's X-ray manufacturing back in the 90s, so it was a different kind of manufacturing. This is my first foray into B2C, into business to consumer. Everything else I've done in my past life has been B2B.
So I'm just thinking, comparing the experience with Dynamis and even your boardship with the MSO, I can only imagine there's almost a different brain with which you have to answer and address concerns, given a manufacturing business, a food business, a B2C business, a performing arts organization, and being CEO of medical software technology. How would you describe the difference in thinking for each of those concerns?
So Elmer, I don't want to be a contrarian, but I actually think there's a lot more similarities than differences. To me, what I've found in my experience is there's basic building blocks to business. There's a basic language in business, and most importantly, there's taking into account how you deal with people, right? Every business involves people, and dealing with people who are in almost every business the most valuable asset really dictates the outcome of that venture. I found that to be true with the Symphony, with the software companies, certainly with Sprecher. So as an example with Sprecher, it's a family, and we think of each other as a family. Sherrod, very early on in the crisis, looked at the cash balances and realized we had a little extra money, and he actually gave that out in one-time bonuses to all of the employees, whether you were in, once a week doing a tour or in there every day brewing. Everybody got a modest bonus. Just, we wanted to let everyone know, hey, we care about you. We're going to get through this. And it was certainly the right thing to do. And those are the types of things I think we all can do in our businesses. Figure out how can we help the people who are our most valuable assets? How can we help our coworkers?
I really like hearing that. So talking about helping, let's talk about the MSO. You're in the middle of a fairly ambitious campaign. Everyone that knows anything about it is so excited and so inspired by that work. How are you continuing that work while everyone is at home and folks aren't working as they normally would? How do you do that?
Right. Well, it's certainly a time of uncertainty for all of the cultural assets in our community, particularly the performing arts, where we had Greg Marcus on a few weeks ago. His entire business revolves around people coming together. And that's what the performing arts are. People coming together to perform and patrons coming together to participate. And that model's just been turned upside down. All of our seasons have been cut short. And we don't know what the fall and what next year is going to look like. Nobody knows. So we've been modeling various scenarios, but until the time comes when we learn more, nobody really knows what that's going to look like. So we've really had three mantras that we've lived by at the Symphony. One, to the extent possible, take care of our family members. And that meant take care of our musicians, take care of our staff. So one of the first things we did as a board is we decided no matter what, we're going to cover the health benefits of our musicians and our staff throughout the crisis. We're going to cover the insurance on the instruments, no matter what. And so that at least could put some people's mind at ease early on as we figured out what was going to happen. And now what we're focusing on are the last two things: cash conservation and ultimate flexibility for the future, right? So we're supposed to open at the end of September in this beautiful new hall. Right? We're supposed to have an opening gala and all these amazing concerts. We don't know what the fall is going to look like. So we just need to maintain as much flexibility and conserve as much cash now in the meantime as we think about what's going to happen in the fall. So those are the things that we're wrestling with as a board and as an institution, but always keeping an eye of taking care of our people to the extent possible.
So, it's important for me to commend you and the rest of the MSO team for the incredible innovation that they've shown with the virtual concerts and just being able to share the beautiful work they produce, even when we can't come together in person.
And
So kudos for that.
I've loved it. I've been watching the musical journeys that come out every week, and Ken David and some guests always talk about music that the MSO has performed in the past. We actually did a live performance the first day of the quarantine on stage at the Marcus Center and broadcast Beethoven's Fifth and Todd Levy as a soloist, clarinet concerto. And so it was just finding all these creative ways. The musicians came together to do the Nimrod, which was just unbelievable technical sound engineering combined with the great talents of our musicians. So what we're really thinking about now as the musicians is, what can we do for the community, right? What can we do to enrich the community, to bring music into the community's lives? And we're starting to think about what will it be like next year if we're not playing in our hall, if we don't have 1,600 people gathering? What else could we do? Could we go to hospitals? Could we go to the companies that are back up and running? Could we go out into the community? So those are the things we're thinking about, is what can the arts do for Milwaukee, since Milwaukee has done so much for us financially in terms of support and getting this campaign finished. So we really want to think about how we can give back as an organization. And we're not alone. The Art Museum is doing virtual gallery tours, the Quarantine Florentine, on and on and on. So you're seeing all of the cultural institutions really reinvent themselves and give back, which is very exciting to watch.
You know, that brings up an opportunity for me to celebrate what is, in my opinion, the unique spirit of Milwaukeeans, and that industriousness, that ability to be resilient in the face of all odds. So I'm going to ask, I offer that as a little bit of a lead-in to what should be a softball question. So you're an entrepreneur, and I will ask you, when you were building Dynamis, you had an option to put it anywhere you wanted. And so I'd wonder why you chose to keep it in Milwaukee.
Well, that's a super softball, because it was my decision, and I live in Milwaukee and I love Milwaukee. That was an easy one. And those of us that have started our companies here and grown our companies here, I mean, this is our home, right? And I love this city as much as anybody. So that really wasn't even an option. I wouldn't have thought about doing it any other way. And it was also important when it came time to exit, to think about the acquirer who was going to keep a presence in Milwaukee and actually expand Milwaukee. So now we have 1,700 employees around the world, 50 in Milwaukee, and we're hiring more employees in Milwaukee. So we're doubling down on our presence in Milwaukee. We're making this the benefits hub of the entire company. So a lot of exciting things, not just when we were growing into Dynamis, but what our acquirers at Applied Systems are doing as well.
See how easy that was? I pitch you a softball, you hit it out of the park.
Thank you.
So let's talk about Dynamis. You know, this is a tricky and even troubling time for businesses. How are you all responding? What operational changes have you enacted, and how are you working with your team if you can't work person to person?
Yeah, I've been very happy in it. Now, these are not all my decisions. I'm just a mere employee now, but I've been very proud of the way that we've attacked the COVID crisis. So, for example, before the mandatory work from home orders, we'd shut down all of our offices. We took everybody remote. And now we're a software company, we're a technology company. We had most of the tools to work remotely, so it was fairly simple. But we had everybody work from home. We made sure all of our employees were safe, that we were social distancing as a company. And essentially, what we were trying to do is make all of our employees, feel like we were taken care of. And once that happened, then we could go on and take care of our customers, right? Rather than trying to do both when there was so much uncertainty personally going on. Our strategy as a company was take care of our own first, make sure everyone's okay, right? And then go out and figure out how we could take care of our clients and take care of our prospects. So for example, Dynamis' old flagship product, it enables remote renewal meetings for employee benefit decisions, which happen every year at every major company. every company of any size, actually. And so because we're so critical for what is now a necessary way of doing meetings, we're offering that solution free for any client within the company gets to use that solution for free for the next 5 months. And any new clients that come on get to use it for free because it's so critical to the way they're going to have to do business this year. As we're thinking about return to work and reopening our offices, we're, again, not my decision, our HR team, very thoughtful in a survey for all employees. Would you want to go back in the first wave? Would you want to wait till the second wave? What could stop you from going back? What concerns do you have? Do you have kids at home? Are they homeschooling? You know, all the things. Do you have other family members that are affected? So being, again, really thoughtful and watching out for the employees and taking care of our employees, even as we start thinking about how to return to work and return to our offices. So I've just been very impressed with the thoughtfulness that has gone into this and really taking care of ourselves and taking care of each other at the forefront.
You know, the GMC team just had that same conversation of making sure that we were taking good care of ourselves by asking exactly those questions, because only by being the best possible team can we offer what we hope to offer for the community and hope to offer for the GMC members. So let's switch gears a little bit, shall we? You have a private audience, a direct mode of communication to our GMC membership, your peers, frankly, the most influential leaders in our community. What would you have them do, think, or how would you have them engage in this moment of significant change?
Sure. I will use a case study. I'm not going to say which company this is, but it's a company I have some involvement with. That company's reaction was to get all of the accountants together, to get all the finance folks together, and model out the worst case scenario. And that company immediately went to a very dark place and said, we're just going to have to lay everyone off. We don't know how long this is going to last. This was before PPP and all the other things, but it was, to me, the wrong reaction, right? Hunkering down, not thinking about your team members, not really caring about anything other than the bottom line, and the employees of that company really felt that. And I believe they responded differently to employees of, for example, our company, where we started and led with empathy. So what I would encourage everyone to do is, look, this is busy times. We're all doing these Zoom meetings all day long. It is hectic, but take time to truly ask how your employees are doing, to see what we can do for our employees, and just have that spirit of empathy. It's just so often we want to dive right into business and we want to just roll up our sleeves and get at it. And we don't know which one of our employees might be hurting. We don't know which one of our employees might be sick or might have a sick loved one or might be affected in other horrible ways by the crisis. So I would encourage all of us to just show a little extra empathy right now. It doesn't come naturally for me, so maybe that's why I'm harping on it. I have to make a conscious effort to practice it. And I tell you what, when I do, it comes back in spades. So I would just encourage everyone to keep that spirit of empathy alive and to practice it in every single interaction we have with our team members.
I think that's great advice. So share with us, I understand you've been working out, you've been spending a lot of time doing your 17 jobs. Aside from watching Netflix in Spanish, what are you listening to? What else are you watching for entertainment, or what are you reading?
So right now I'm reading Cornelius Vanderbilt's biography. I try to read a biography every morning when I'm on the stair stepper, so that's about a half hour a day. Doing my Duolingo, which is learn Spanish app, while I'm on the exercise bike. It's another half hour a day. I'm cooking. So I've never cooked. I've used a crock pot 5 times now. I'd never used one in my life. So cheating a little bit and having a few friends over for dinners and things, but we're of course social distancing, and we're 6 feet apart. And other than that, doing a ton of house projects. There's all these little things. I've lived here 8 years, and there's all these little things that have been nagging at me. They're all getting done. And while I do those, I actually listen to past recordings in the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra.
I love it. You are a guy with a brand, and that is fantastic. So I would be remiss if I didn't give you a chance to flex your Spanish skills. I actually don't habla español, but we could at least do the sign off in Spanish.
We could, and then I'll embarrass myself in front of all the real Spanish-speaking friends in the GMC.
We will do it with love and respect to our Hispanophiles. So I will say, as we sign off, muchas gracias, Señor Nunemaker.
De nada.
I don't know how to say hope to see you soon, but I'm going to say mucho gusto.
Mucho gusto. Hasta pronto. Sí.
Gracias.
Okay, thank you.